What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about the Toronto Raptors, who seem like they've been in trade rumors every single day for the last few days. We got some update and courtesy of Raptors Update on Instagram. Shout out to them. They provided this update late last night, which stated Gary Trent Jr. is undeniably available in advance of the deadline. This was being reported by Mark Stein, who we all know is a really good reporter. But the key word here is in advance, which means the Raptors may not necessarily wait up to the trade deadline to trade Gary Trent Jr. So I'm going to be discussing this rumor. I'm also going to be discussing Fred VanVleet's situation in the second half of this video. There's been so much surrounding him as well, whether or not he denied that $100 million contract, whether he did. There's been so much more rumors surrounding him lately as well. I'm going to be breaking that down for you guys. So this is going to be a nice detailed video, guys. If you want to get your popcorn ready, kick your feet up. If you're going for a walk, if you're going for a drive, listen to this video. And if you're ready to watch, guys, make sure to hit the like button. If you want to hit the subscribe button, that'd be very much appreciated as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Dark Knight. So Dark Knight, thank you so much for supporting this channel. To your likes and comments, it is very much appreciated. And I quickly wanted to bring your attention to this Twitter account, which according to a lot of Reddit users, it provides accurate information. This was by NBA Trade Report that stated Toronto has received interest on shooting guard Gary Trent Jr. Trent has a player option for next season, for which he is expected to decline. Toronto is looking for a late first-round pick. Now, again, I don't know how accurate this is, so take this with a grain of salt. But personally, if you ask me, why would the Raptors want a late first-round pick when they can get something a lot better? They can get a much higher first-round pick, and also you obviously have to include salary fillers as well. But putting these news aside and going back to the original news, which was saying that the Raptors could make Gary Trent Jr. available, you maybe have to question, if you're not a Raptors fan, why would a team like the Toronto Raptors that are struggling offensively, that need scoring, trade a player who is known for scoring, but he's also a really young player? He's soon to be 24 years old, and he fits in with what the offense needs there. They need three-point shooting. They need a little bit of shot creation. They need any sort of shooting, and Gary Trent Jr. is a good shooter. So the first reason I think the Raptors may want to move on from him is salary cap situation. So taking a look at the Raptors salary cap situation here, you'll notice that the Raptors are well over the salary cap situation. The total money over the salary cap, in fact, is $163.6 million. And the salary cap, again, I know it says 2022. Technically, we are in both 2022 and 2023 season. It's $123.6 million. And as you see, their current cap space, the Raptors are $39.9 million over the cap space. The Raptors have to pay a lot of guys in the future. It's going to be hard to pay everyone. Now, I know people may question, why would the Raptors want to trade why would they want to trade Gary Trent Jr. and not Fred VanVleet? Let's get to that in just a moment. But taking a look at what players will have to be paid soon for the Toronto Raptors, you'll notice that after this season, besides Fred and Gary Trent Jr., there's going to be a lot of players. Look at Pascal Siakam. He's going to need a contract extension this summer. OG Anunoby undeniably is going to opt out of his player option next season. And again, I'm not saying they really need to prioritize guys like Thaddeus Young, but there are some other guys that will get paid the following summer as well. Precious Achiuwa. I don't know if Malachi Flynn is in the long-term plans, but this is essentially going to be a team that may have to pay quite a few guys in the following summer. So if the Raptors are to do that, they obviously have to trade a few pieces. Now, the question for a lot of people will be, why would the Raptors trade Gary Trent Jr. and not Fred VanVleet? Gary Trent Jr. is younger. Fred VanVleet looks like he's on a decline, but you do have to take into consideration that Fred VanVleet is also a better defender than Gary Trent Jr. He's also a better passer. And there's quite a few things that Fred VanVleet does better that go a little bit unnoticed in comparison to Gary Trent Jr. And furthermore, I've heard a lot of comments online stating that if Masai Ujiri trades Gary Trent Jr. and keeps Fred VanVleet, I am no longer a fan of this team. One thing I want to state and emphasize on, guys, this is like going to a doctor's office and telling the doctor how to treat you. And if he doesn't do it that way, you're walking out of there. You realize Masai Ujiri has been a general manager and assistant general manager for more than a decade now. He knows what he's doing. He was a scout before he got into this business. He knows players. These guys see a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we do not. And furthermore, this is something I have emphasized so much on, is look at Gary Trent Jr.'s agency. They are the agency of LeBron James' friend, Clutch Sports. So again, that agency is all about the players. I know OG Anunoby is also signed to that agency, but that agency is all about the players, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if it's all about the players and getting their players paid, you have to wonder, like, I'm sure there's some sort of agreement, guys, Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, the Raptors executives and general managers aren't idiots. They know what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe Gary Trent Jr. doesn't want to be with this team long term. There's a reason why that contract was signed for a 2+1. Think about this. Think about this for 1 second. Why would an organization like the Raptors that value good young players only sign Gary to a 2+1 deal? I think there was a mutual agreement there where both sides decided it would benefit them. And Masai Ujiri probably was honest with them that he doesn't view Gary Trent Jr. long term with the Raptors, and maybe the Raptors signed this contract to benefit both sides. Gary Trent Jr. gets out of his contract sooner. He gets a bigger payday sooner rather than later. So I think that's one of the reasons why I think the Raptors look to move on from Gary Trent Jr. But I will state one thing, guys. Do not be surprised if the Raptors do not move on from Gary Trent Jr. Now, the reason I'm saying this, and this is actually a future idea, is when you think about the Raptors, if they plan on keeping Pascal Siakam, who, by the way, if they don't extend this summer, they might look to move him. If they plan on keeping Pascal Siakam, they need to surround him with good talent. And how do you do that? You do that through trades. So if the Raptors do look to acquire an all-star, maybe a superstar player this offseason next year, they do need to include salary. Now, I will bring the salary situation up again if you guys want to see it here. Again, they're not trading Pascal Siakam. They're not trading OG Anunoby. But outside of those two guys, if you don't take into consideration Fred and Gary for a time being, there are not a lot of guys on the Raptors team that make a lot of money. Chris Boucher, Thaddeus Young together combined for $19 million. And we know all-stars and superstar players are making $35+ million. So even if the Raptors do re-sign both Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. this summer, do not be surprised if they re-sign him as part of something maybe they want to do in the future in terms of trading. You have a bigger salary there. It makes it a little bit easier when you're making trades in the future. So do not be surprised if that happens as well. But I really want to discuss this Fred VanVleet situation as well. So let's move on to that now. So there's this article that came out this morning by NBA Central that stated that Fred VanVleet believes he's worth more than what Toronto can currently give him. Now, this was kind of conflicting because we heard rumors about Fred VanVleet apparently rejecting a $100+4 million 4-year deal from the Toronto Raptors this offseason. But breaking this article down for you guys, you'll notice I'll read it for you guys and I'll give you my thoughts in just a second here. Without going too far into it, I'm just trying to put myself in a good position business-wise and not take an extension on a deal that was made 3 or 4 years ago. VanVleet told ESPN, I felt like I've outplayed that contract thus far, so I'm just trying to get myself in a position to put the cards in their hands. They've got to make a decision from an organization standpoint. I love being here. I love being a Raptor. I got a great relationship with Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, so I'm confident that we could find a deal. It's a great partnership and that we have, and so going forward, I'm not going to make it easy on them, and they're not going to make it on me either. That's the way it's going. Now, I don't understand what part of this, like we've all been there, guys. And I've been guilty of it. We've all been there. YouTube clickbait. We talk about it so much, but journalists are no different. What part of this article makes you believe that Fred VanVleet said he's worth more than what the Raptors can offer him? Like, it makes no sense. MLSE is a billion-dollar corporation that owns the Toronto Raptors. So it's not like he's going out and asking for $50 million. It's not like he's going to ask for $40 million. So it's a little bit clickbait in terms of how they made it present to be, where he states that he wants more than what the Raptors can offer him. I don't necessarily think so. It's kind of just a clickbait to get people to click on it, to read it. Again, this is just much like YouTube videos. They want you to click on these articles. So I really got to call out this article because it's really strange to me, because Fred VanVleet came out yesterday and had a lot to say regarding that contract situations. In fact, he denied it. And he's had this to say. I'll play this video for you guys and I'll break it down.
I will never speak on my free agency or contract negotiations, especially between conversations between me and management. So it certainly didn't come from me, but I was never, I was never made a formal offer. There was never a formal offer made. It was a mutual decision by both sides that the smart thing to do would be to wait it out. There was no rush, given that I can still sign the extension all the way throughout the end of the season. Take my word for it. I understand we're in the era of taking 2 sentences out of an article and making it a tweet, and then all of a sudden, I get 300 messages last night that I turned down 114 million, which is not the case. So it's a little misleading, and I'm disappointed that it's come out. I don't want it to be a distraction. Completely focus on this team. My loyalty is to this team and to this franchise, and trying to get us back, to the level that we're accustomed to around here. So
again, I had to cut parts of that video. Obviously, I don't want to get copyrighted, but he essentially said there was no contract offer during the offseason. So you have to wonder where these reports are coming from. It's really conflicting based on what you read, what you hear. And then Fred VanVleet said he wasn't offered a contract. He essentially said too, guys, I know there's been a lot of emphasis on Fred VanVleet being a selfish player this offseason, this, Mr. Bet on himself. One thing he did go on to say is he loves the Raptors organization. And I want to bring this up here because people have been stating that he's a selfish player. He's all about himself. I do want to mention, let's bring up his contract situation because people keep saying he's a selfish player. Does this look like a selfish player to you? The last contract that Fred VanVleet signed with the Toronto Raptors in his first season, he got paid $21.2 million. You'll notice the following season, he got paid $19.6 million. Why was that contract set out to be the way it was? Is it because Fred VanVleet is a selfish player? No, in fact, he took a lower payday from the Raptors because that was the season that the Toronto Raptors were trying to sign Giannis Antetokounmpo, so they wanted as much cap space as possible. So you have to question, Mr. Bet on yourself, Mr. Selfish. He wants money. He doesn't care about the organization, yet he's come out and clearly said he loves being a Toronto Raptor. He loves the organization. He wants to be here. So why would a selfish player take a $2-3 million pay cut to help the Raptors organization? It doesn't really make sense, guys. I understand that NBA players have egos. Fred VanVleet has an ego. I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. And every NBA player does. But at the end of the day, they do have to look after themselves. They have to look after their family, and it is about money. Whether contrary to belief that players sacrifice money, yes, we have Dirk Nowitzki's and we have Manu Ginobili's as well. But these are players that are looking to get paid, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I have faith in Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster. So for those who are saying that if the Raptors trade Trent and keep Fred, guys, I will say one thing. Trust me when I say this, have faith. And I'm not saying this from trying to say this from a fan point of view where I say that the Raptors should keep Fred. Even if they trade Fred, I have full faith on Masai that whatever moves needs to be made, they'll make the right decision. Again, I've always stated this on this channel. There's a lot you don't get to see behind the scenes. Fred VanVleet is a locker room leader. There's been a lot of things he's helped encourage a lot of the young players to process as well. This was someone that was mentored by Kyle Lowry. I know he's having a shit season, and I know it's easy to turn on players that are having struggling seasons, but trust me, Masai is no idiot. He won't pay him $30+ million. And in fact, the last contract situation as well, I want to emphasize, there's rumors that apparently New York Knicks are willing to pay him up to $22-25 million, yet he re-signed with the Raptors for a lot cheaper. He even stated that after he re-signed that he wanted to stay with the team and the organization because he loves them. This doesn't necessarily sound like a selfish player, but I'm very intrigued to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Again, I'll link that entire interview if you guys do want to listen to it. Didn't really sound like he was asking for what more the Raptors can offer. Again, that article, a little bit confused about it as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Not only that, about Gary Trent Jr. as well, where you see him in the Raptors' future. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And this one is simple. You should know the answer if you've been a Raptors fan for a while. This one is, which player leads the NBA in minutes per game? Is it A, Pascal Siakam? Is it B, James Harden? Is it C, Fred VanVleet? Or is it D, OG Anunoby? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I know this video was running quite long. There's quite a few things I wanted to break down for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And I really do hope you guys have yourselves a great day.